The year? 1981. Betty Davis Eyes was the number one song on the Billboard music charts. Dallas was the number one show on television. Stetson cologne was invented. And the Georgia Bulldogs won their last national championship in college football. Oh, but wait a minute. In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend, because the Georgia Bulldogs just did it again 40 years later, baby. And they did it with a man with the same name as the cologne that was invented the same year they won it the last time, Stetson.
Wow!
Think about that. The namesake cologne, Stetson, was invented in 81, the last time Georgia won it, until 2021. Georgia Bulldogs pulled it off, baby. 33-18 victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide. 40 years after they'd done it the last time. In the words of my friend JPC, they hadn't won a title since Fonzie was tapping jukeboxes. Well, JPC, they did it, buddy. They pulled it off. I know you and Jonathan are probably heartbroken tonight, maybe along with Coach Jones, but you got to give the Bulldogs credit, man. They did it. Stetson did it. He pulled it off. He hushed his doubters up, at least for now, and he got it done. That Georgia defense stepped up and did what they had been doing all year, except for the SEC championship. They got some pressure on Bryce Young, forced him into some turnovers, stopped that Alabama running game, made him one-dimensional, and the Georgia secondary stepped up and played a good game tonight. Now, we've got to take into account, I realize that John Mechie was out for Alabama, one of their leading receivers. Jameson Williams, their other leading receiver, went out in the second quarter with an injury, was out the rest of the game. So they basically played the entire second half with backup receivers, essentially, is what they had to do. And I'm sure that may have played a role in the game. But look, you can't take anything away from Georgia. Injuries are part of the game. They happen. Georgia got the job done. Their defense stepped up and did what they had to do. Their running game, second half, their running game stepped up. Neither team was able to run the ball in the first half. Second half, Georgia come out running the football and looked good doing it. They were able to run 140 yards tonight on the ground. And speaking of that, I'm going to go into some team stats. You look at first downs, Georgia had 20, Alabama had 22. Alabama won that category. Third down efficiency, Georgia was 4 out of 12, 33%. Alabama, 9 out of 20, 45%. Alabama won that category. You look at total yards, Georgia was 364, Alabama was 399. Alabama won that category. Passing yards, Georgia 224, Alabama 369. They really won that category. Yards per pass, Georgia 8.6, Alabama 6.5. Stetson had the one long completion, 52-yarder to George Pickens. Probably skewed that stat, but that was a big play. It got Georgia in the field goal range. And it was also an awesome catch by Pickens, by the way. Great catch by that young man. He was the only catch he had in the game, and he was Georgia's leading receiver tonight. Yards per rush, Georgia 4.7 yards against a pretty good Alabama rush defense. Alabama, get this stat. They averaged 1.1 yards per rush. 1.1. That is just unreal. They ran the ball 28 times for 30 yards. Unreal. Penalties. This is where Georgia tried to give the game away right here. Georgia had 10 penalties for 70 yards. Just continued, especially in the first half. I don't know if it was jitters or what, man, but they just continued to make stupid penalties. Alabama committed only 6 penalties for 42 yards. Now, they committed penalties at bad times, though, did Alabama. They really did. That one penalty, a hands to the face to Stetson Bennett, was a big penalty. Then you had turnovers. Georgia had the one. Stetson Bennett had the one fumble. Then you had Alabama, Bryce Young, 2 interceptions, uncharacteristic of Mr. Young. And in matter of fact, there's an argument that can be made tonight that Stetson Bennett actually outplayed Bryce Young. Let's look at the individual stats. Stetson Bennett completed 17 out of 26 passes, which was good for 65%, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That was one of my keys to the game. Stetson Bennett needed to protect the football, and he did it. Bryce Young completed 35 out of 57 passes for 369 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He was good for 61% completion percentage, so Stetson had a better percentage, more touchdowns, and less picks. Now, obviously, Bryce Young threw for a lot more yards. And in Bryce Young's defense, His receivers were out, and he didn't have much of a running game. So he was pretty much trying to do it all by himself. So I can't really knock the guy for that. Look at the running game. Zamir Zeus White for Georgia. 13 carries, 84 yards, which is good for 6.5 yards a carry, the one touchdown. And then Brian Robinson Jr. was stifled all night long. He had 22 carries for 68 yards, a 3.1 average. Just a rough night for Mr. Robinson. Just running. Look, he was going against a very daunted, very good, probably the best front seven in the country. Just didn't have much of a chance tonight. And then you look at receiving. George Pickens had the one catch for 52 yards. And then Latu, the tight end for Alabama, 5 receptions, 102 yards and a touchdown. Really big game for him tonight. He stepped up and played a good game in the absence of Mechie. And the one-half absence of Jameson Williams. But it just wasn't enough. Because, like I said, Georgia's defense was stifling tonight, especially against the run game. They were able to get to Bryce Young some, get him on the ground. They hit him a lot tonight. That Georgia front seven just looked like the Georgia front seven that we saw all year, with the exception of the SEC championship game. And that's what it was going to take for them to win, and that's what happened. So kudos to the Georgia Bulldogs. As you can see, I've got my red lighting, my red and black shirt, which actually wasn't planned, by the way. I had this on already. It's one of my favorite rock bands, Breaking Benjamin. But just in honor of the Dogs tonight, in 40 years since they won a national championship, congrats to the Bulldogs. Congrats to the Georgia fan base. Congrats to Kirby Smart finally getting that monkey off his back and beating Nick Saban. And by the way, kudos to Nick Saban. The way he handled that midfield handshake with Kirby. Classy guy. I'm sure once Nick's able to get over the loss, because I'm sure it's hard losing. I know he hates to lose. He's a competitor. But once he gets over it, has time to reflect, I'm sure he's going to be happy for Kirby. And I think if he's not already. So kudos to Nick for how he handled that. And look, Alabama's going to be back and maybe even better next year because Bryce Young's coming back. Will Anderson's coming back. A lot of those guys will be back next year. And they've got a really good young team. So, look, we haven't seen the last of the Crimson Tide. They'll probably be in this game again next year. But right now, it's the Bulldogs' night. Let them enjoy it. Enjoy their off season. Bulldogs, you deserved it. Kirby Smart, you deserve it. Stetson Bennett, kudos to you, young man. I love your story. Stories like yours is what college football is all about. It's why we love the sport. Former walk-on, earned a scholarship, was third on the depth chart, if not fourth. Ended up being the starter and led your team to a national championship. Bravo, young man. Bravo to the Bulldogs. It was a great college football season. In the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. It's absolutely free to do so. Give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Check out the links in the description box to Fanatics and Amazon. Make some purchases with that. It'll help my channel. Share this with your friends. Check out the Coast to Coast CFB Network. Thanks for tuning in. Go Dogs. Now cue Country Roads.